Cloud, they repost it. That's the matchup, Debbie, they want to attack.
That's the one you got to score on. As long as Cloud is guarding, size advantage.
The WNBA, a league that has long battled for legitimacy, respect, and viewership in the shadow of its male counterpart, is once again in the spotlight, but not for reasons that celebrate the sport, the players, or the game. Instead, it finds itself mired in a bizarre and unsettling sequence of events that has fans, analysts, and even players questioning the integrity of the environment being fostered in arenas nationwide. What started as a one-off oddity has now spiraled into a league-wide talking point, trending across social media platforms and igniting debates in sports bars, comment sections, and major television broadcasts alike. The controversy centers around an object strange in appearance, jarring in presence that has now interrupted live WNBA play, not once, but twice in a single week. During a highly anticipated game in Chicago, play came to a screeching halt as an unidentified fan hurled what is now infamously being dubbed another green machine onto the court. The term, while laced with sarcasm, has taken on a viral life of its own as footage of the incident spread like wildfire online. In that footage, captured both by TV broadcasts and countless fan smartphones, one can clearly see a player reacting in horror, pointing at the object and stepping away. In visible shock, security scrambled onto the court, referees conferred in confusion, and the broadcast booth was left to speculate in real time about what exactly was happening and why. This Chicago incident would be alarming on its own, but the fact that it occurred mere days after a near-identical scenario played out in Atlanta has raised alarms throughout the league. In both cases, the object was not just any generic item tossed from the stands. It was a strange green contraption, roughly the size of a small appliance, heavy enough to do serious damage, and clearly thrown with intent. It wasn't a shirt, a banner, or even a misguided cup of soda. It was deliberate, it was disruptive, and it was dangerous. The reactions from players were immediate and filled with frustration. Chief among them was Dallas Wings star Sophie Cunningham, who had just wrapped up one of her best performances of the season. Known for her fierce style of play, and even fiercer presence on social media, Cunningham did not mince words. Within minutes of walking off the court, she took to Twitter now, X to voice her concern. "Stop throwing the green machines on the court," she tweeted bluntly. "You're going to hurt one of us." The tweet instantly went viral, garnering tens of thousands of likes and retweets in mere hours, as fans and fellow athletes echoed her sentiment. Across the board, the reaction was clear. Enough is enough. Yet, as with all things in today's fast-paced sports culture, the incident quickly became more than just a safety concern. It became a flashpoint for larger conversations about the state of the WNBA, its audience, and its direction. Conspiracy theories began to swirl online almost instantly. Was this a coordinated publicity stunt? Were these green machines some kind of guerrilla marketing scheme gone wrong? Was someone or some group trying to sabotage the games, create chaos, or divert attention from other narratives that were failing to take hold? For some, the answer seemed to point toward a simple, yet troubling conclusion. The league is desperate for attention in the absence of its biggest star, Caitlin Clark. Clark, the highly celebrated Indiana Fever rookie, was heralded as the savior of women's basketball. Her college career shattered records and garnered national attention in ways the sport hadn't seen in years, if ever. Her entry into the WNBA was supposed to be a new era and inflection point where mainstream sports fans would finally invest in the women's game. And for a brief moment, it looked like that dream was becoming reality. Ticket sales soared. TV ratings spiked. Merchandising numbers were off the charts. Clark's games became must-watch events, and Indiana Fever jerseys began popping up in cities far beyond the Midwest. But then came the injury. Clark, in what can only be described as an unfortunate twist of fate, suffered a significant injury that sidelined her indefinitely. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just as the league was beginning to ride the wave of her popularity, the engine was taken out of the machine. Since then, reports have indicated that WNBA ratings have dropped precipitously by over 1 million viewers across streaming and broadcast platforms. The empty seats have begun to multiply again. The media buzz has dulled. And in that vacuum, oddities like the Green Machine incidents have found fertile ground to flourish. Veteran sports commentator Jason Whitlock, never one to shy away from a controversial opinion, weighed in with his usual mix of sarcasm and skepticism. "Can't wait to see how they blame this trend on Indiana fans," he tweeted in response to the growing media storm. his comment clearly dripping with irony. Nevertheless, struck a nerve with many who have long felt that Clark and, by extension, Indiana has been unfairly scapegoated or targeted by elements both inside and outside the league. Meanwhile, other analysts took the opportunity to pivot the conversation toward Clark's actual performance prior to the injury. Former NBA player, and now podcast regular Jeff Teague gave his own hot take during a recent episode of his show. While expressing sympathy for her injury, Teague didn't shy away from critiquing her game. "She's exciting, no doubt," he said, "but her shot selection, her turnovers, still got a lot to learn. You can't just walk into this league and expect to dominate. These are grown women. Champions. You gotta earn it." Teague's words, while not inherently inflammatory, added more fuel to the already simmering debate about Clark's impact, her treatment by the league and its veterans, and the curious way that chaos seems to follow wherever she or the absence of hurt goes. For many fans, particularly those in Indiana, there's a growing sense that Clark is being held to a double standard, expected to simultaneously carry the league's popularity and shrink her presence when it becomes too overwhelming. And so, the Green Machine saga continues. What exactly these devices are, who is throwing them, and why they're being thrown is still unclear. League officials have promised thorough investigations, but so far, no arrests have been made, and no solid leads have emerged. The WNBA released a statement calling the incidents unacceptable breaches of safety and reaffirmed its commitment to player well-being. But critics argue that the response has been tepid at best. If this happened in the NBA, there would be immediate bans, press conferences, and probably lawsuits, said one longtime reporter covering the league. But here, it's like they're hoping we all forget by next week. Unfortunately, for the WNBA, the internet doesn't forget. And in an era where narrative is everything, the optics of back-to-back disruptions, combined with plummeting ratings and the conspicuous absence of the league's biggest draw, paint a troubling picture. Players like Sophie Cunningham are growing tired of the distractions. "We work too hard for this," she said in a follow-up interview. "We train, we compete, we give everything to this game. And now we've got to worry about objects flying at our heads in the middle of a fast break. That's not just disrespectful, it's dangerous." Others in the league are starting to speak up as well. Veteran forward Alyssa Thomas, known for her grit and no-nonsense attitude, posted a cryptic Instagram story showing a green toy tractor with the caption, "Is this what y'all think is funny?" The message was subtle but poignant, capturing the exasperation many players feel. Amid the chaos, Indiana Fever has continued to try and rally around its wounded star. Chloe Bibby, who's stepped up significantly in Clark's absence, has led with poise, passion, and leadership. In a recent game, she posted a career high in points and was seen embracing her teammates in the locker room afterward, telling reporters, "We play for each other. We play for Caitlin. We're not here for the circus." Yet, ironically, the circus seems unavoidable. As social media floods with memes, jokes, and speculation, many are left wondering if this is just the beginning of something larger. Some fans argue that the league needs to do more to protect its athletes, not just physically, but reputationally. Others suggest that the WNBA is at a crossroads, facing an identity crisis fueled by external pressures, internal politics, and the never-ending demand for viral moments. For now, the Green Machines remain a symbol of chaos, of desperation, of controversy, and as long as they continue to find their way onto the court, they will overshadow the very thing the WNBA has been trying to promote all along, the beauty, power, and legitimacy of women's basketball, until the league can reclaim the narrative and return the spotlight to where it belongs, on the players, the plays, and the passionate risks becoming a sideshow in its own arena. And for a sport that has fought so long and hard to be taken seriously, that would be the cruelest twist of all.
Smoked the layup. Wheeler quickly up court. Boston running the floor for the layup. Cunningham one more cloud.
As the WNBA enters what should be a celebrated stretch of competitive basketball, the league instead finds itself grappling with an escalating crisis that many feel is undermining the very integrity of the sport. While the Indiana Fever have been quietly piecing together an impressive win streak for games and counting, the national spotlight seems determined to shine elsewhere. Headlines that should be praising team chemistry, rising stars, and the emergence of unexpected heroes are instead dominated by sensational distractions and unsettling incidents. At the center of this growing controversy are a pair of bizarre, back-to-back disruptions involving what many fans have come to call the Green Machines. In two separate games, one in Atlanta, followed just days later by another in Chicago, an unidentified fan hurled a strange heavy green object onto the court mid-game, halting play and shocking both players and spectators. Though the device remains unexplained, it has already become infamous across social media, where slowed-down replays of players reacting to the object have been dissected from every angle. In the Chicago incident, the chaos was palpable. A player noticed the green object and instinctively jumped away to avoid stepping on it, possibly saving herself from injury. The broadcast team was left stunned, as cameras zoomed in on the security team, sprinting onto the hardwood. Players gathered in confusion while referees tried to make sense of what had just occurred. The game eventually resumed, but the atmosphere had undeniably shifted from competitive tension to uneasy discomfort. Sophie Cunningham of the Dallas Wings, who had just finished a dominant on-court performance prior to the incident, took immediate issue with the dangerous distraction. Never one to sugarcoat her opinions, Cunningham posted a scathing message on social media shortly after walking off the court. "Stop throwing the green machines on the court.